USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength, Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
Hello everybody and welcome back to my podcast, Esme's Country Life. And you might have seen the title and you might be, Esme, what is going on? Why have you titled this podcast, Why Horse Riding Isn't a Sport? And that is because the other day I got into a debate basically with a member of the general public about horse riding. Is it a sport? Is it not a sport? And I thought we would cover it in today's podcast episode. But before we begin, I just want to say a huge thank you to the sponsor of the podcast, Redpost. Redpost is an equestrian and country store based in the UK, and they also ship all over the world. And the exciting news is, guys, I can finally tell you, is that I am coming back to Redpost for a meet and greet. I'm going to be there on the 23rd of August. It's a Saturday. 2025, that is the year, just in case you're listening to this like in the future. How's the future doing? Anyway, but yes, I'm going to be back. I'm so excited. So I'm literally just going to basically be there all day. Come along whenever. For more information, check out my website, thisesme.com. But yeah, also, one of the things that I would recommend when you do go to Redpost is go to the cafe. They have an incredible cafe. The cakes, the ice cream, the milkshakes. Oh my gosh. If you like milkshakes, you got to get a milkshake. Anyway, so lots of fun stuff. Some other things are happening also on that day. Cannot disclose yet, but it's going to be awesome. If you want to come along, it's down in Devon. So make a summer holiday out of it, you know. Go and explore Devon. It's really beautiful down there. But anyway, let's get into today's podcast episode. Thank you again, Redpost, for sponsoring. Anyway, now, as you guys know, I quite like going to the gym every now and again. I actually really like going in the sauna. I like going in there, pretending I'm on a tropical island, somewhere warm. And, you know, it's kind of like my happy place. And I've been going quite a lot recently. Now, something that I have kind of realised since going to the gym is that you come across a lot of different people. Sometimes some strange people, sometimes some really, really lovely people. Like, there have been so many lovely people that I've met that have very kindly, like, helped me out with gym equipment. Like, there's been a few guys that come along and be like, oh, you use it like this. And, you know, really lovely members of the public. But also you come across some members of the public and you're like, yes, you are a little bit peculiar. Or you're just some people that, you know... Anyway, we'll get into it. You know what I mean? But also, I've kind of come to the realization that when it comes to the sauna, there are also two types of people. Number one, there's the first type of person. They go into the sauna to meditate. This is their quiet time. This is like maybe after work, after a stressful day, they just sit in the sauna in complete silence, eyes closed, and just vibe. And you know what? I respect that. Sometimes I go in there, I have a little bit of quiet time, and, you know, it's good for you, it's nice. But sometimes I go into the sauna, and people, I feel like they go into the sauna just to have a chat. They're like, okay, I'm here, I'm ready to chat to somebody. Like, they get bored, they're just like, okay, who are you? Tell me your life story. So there's either the super chatty people or there's quiet people. I think my favourite is when I go in there and I don't chat to people, but I listen to other people's conversations, which I know is bad. But sauna conversations, people, you hear a lot about people's lives and it's quite entertaining. So anyway, that's the one thing that keeps me in there longer. You know, I'm trying to get my sauna tolerance, my sauna time up. But anyway, I feel like you can always tell what sort of person somebody is as soon as you walk into the sauna. So the other day, I walked in. Normally when I go in, I try to be polite. I just, like, especially someone who's got their eyes closed and they don't realise I've opened the door, I just say, hello, and then sit down and like, hiya. You know, just nice little polite hello. Don't want to just walk in, like, you know, and just seem really miserable. So I like to say hello. And I can always tell by if people say hello back, I'm like, okay, sometimes these are the people that are in for a chat. And sometimes they're like, oh yeah, I'm, you know, very quiet, just, you know, in their meditating zone. Fair enough, you do you. Now, I walked into the sauna the other day, and there was this guy there. and there was two people. There was a lady on the bottom step, guy on the top step. And as soon as I walked in, the guy was like, "Oh, do you want to go up at the top? Because at the top of the sauna, you get more of the heat." So I was like, "Yeah, sure, go on then. Thank you very much. That's very sweet of you." So he moved out of the way so I could go up onto the other top step. And then I thought, yeah, this guy, I don't know, I could just tell straight away. I was like, this guy's going to be a chatter. He's going to be, he is ready for a chat. He's ready for some entertainment. So, younger me, or me maybe even a couple of years ago, I, believe it or not, I'm a little bit more of a shy person. I'd say I'm more of an introvert. Might be surprising. I know I'm chatting to a podcast for however long my episodes are. Sometimes they're half an hour. The last week's episode was a whole hour long. So anyway, for some reason I've got a secret talent where I can just chat. Anyway, so sometimes I'll go in the sauna and I'm a little bit like, I expect it to be a quiet sauna, and you know, especially if I've had like a busy day where I've chatted to loads of people, had loads of meetings, and sometimes I'm just my brain is not mentally prepared for chat, you know. But this day, I could tell this guy was in for a chat, and I was like, okay, I was ready, I was prepared. Now, some people might say I was a little bit sassy, but we'll come into what our conversation was. So anyway, this guy, I would describe him as a proper blokey bloke geezer. You know, he was luckily I probably will not see this guy again, because he was saying that he was down in the area for business. That's why he was at this gym. It's not just saying, my gym is very lovely. All the people that I've met in my gym is very lovely. So maybe that's why he's not part of the gym, my local gym culture anyway. So he was up for a chat. First thing he goes straight away, just random, just out of the blue, was like, I'm in a sauna, I want to chat. Let's talk about saunas. So he started kind of going on about, oh yeah, when I was at my gym, there was this guy and he had this like big woolly hat on. And he was like, oh, I thought it was really weird to start with. And then he was explaining that apparently if you wear a woolly hat in the sauna, your brain is the first thing that tells your body, oh, you're too hot, you should get out. But actually your body I don't know how true this is just what some bloke told me in the sauna, but if you wear a woolly hat, apparently it insulates your head so you can stay in the sauna longer. And I was like, okay, I don't know what this guy is chatting. But anyway, so he just randomly started talking about this. And I thought, you know what, this guy, he really wants to chat. I could just tell. So I just popped in and said, oh, I thought, you know, I just said, oh, maybe he's like training for something. I just said, now, I don't normally flex my friends, you know, but I thought this guy, he's in for a chat. I'll have a little chat with him. Thought nice little conversation starter. I was like, oh yeah, I literally said, my friend was at the Tokyo Paralympics. Literally said Tokyo Paralympics, my friend. I thought, that's quite an interesting piece of information. You'd think most people would use their listening ears and hear that and think, oh wow, that's quite an interesting little fact. I was like, oh yeah, my friend was at the Tokyo Paralympics, and when she was training for it, she was exercising in a ski jacket a lot so she could get used to the heat. And anyway, completely blanks that. Obviously was not listening. I don't know, maybe he's one of those people that just doesn't listen to people, or maybe he saw me as a young woman and was like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Anyway, I don't know. Moving on. And then I came to the conclusion that this guy was the sort of guy that wasn't up for a chat. He just liked the sound of his own voice. Now, don't worry. I know that the irony is not lost on me, because I am, at the moment, the one talking at you for about half an hour. And you can't talk back to me because this is a podcast. So don't worry. The irony is not lost on me. It's not lost on me. So anyway, I thought, oh, maybe he'd like ask a little bit more about my friend and what it was like in Tokyo in the Paralympics and COVID. Because normally when I, you know, like flex my friend like that, most people were like, oh, that's so cool. Like, tell me about that. What sport did you? Anyway, guy completely blanked. He was like, and then he was like, oh yeah, back in the day, I used to be a boxer. And then went on about this boxing career that he had. It was like, oh yeah, before I don't know much about boxing, to be fair, but he was like, oh yeah, before like the match or before game day, I'd always go in the sauna, try and get my weight down, get all this water weight out so you could be in the right category. And this lady who was also in the sauna, she knew a lot about boxing, and she was like, oh yeah, my friend's a boxer, like, anyway. So she was like trying to add into the conversation, like, oh, we'll move it to boxing, like that's obviously what this guy really wants to talk about. And then she asked him, what weight category were you in? And this guy was like, oh, it was a long time ago. Anyway, skewed the conversation away from that, didn't answer her question. He was like, oh yeah, I would have gone pro if it wasn't for this injury. And I honestly feel bad for people who actually would have been pro at sport if they had an injury. But I've heard so many people say that. I don't know how many people are actually telling the truth. Do you know what I mean? Has anybody else had that? Or maybe that's just my experience. But anyway, so then he was going on about boxing and all that kind of thing. And to be fair, he did ask me about my friend, but he did not listen at all to what I said, because he was like, he then skewed the conversation onto, oh yeah, and all the footballers, they do, when they go to hot countries, I guess they do training in saunas and things to get used to the heat, which is literally what I said about 5 minutes ago. But anyway, I'm not salty about it. I'm not salty about it. And it was like, oh yeah, like your friend. He literally said, oh yeah, like your Chinese friend. And I was like, what? I was like, I mean, I do have a friend that's Chinese, but this isn't the friend I was talking about. So I was like, oh no, it was in Tokyo, and she's British. She's on the British Paralympic team, and she did bring home some medals, if you were wondering. And he was like, that maybe caught his attention a little bit. He was like, oh okay, maybe I should ask a little bit more about, I'll ask some more questions and do less yapping. I don't know. So then he said, oh, what sport was that in then? And I was like, oh, in dressage. And then before I could even say anything else, he was like, dressage? More like dress up? And me and this other lady, we were too stunned to speak. We were like, what? Excuse me. And honestly, it really took me back to when I was at school and people would go, horse riding's not a sport, which is why I've titled today's episode about this, because don't worry, we will be getting onto that. I'm sorry, there's quite a big lead up, big warm up to this story. But anyway, and then I feel like with people like that, sometimes you just I feel like I don't waste my breath on people like this. This guy obviously is set in his ways. I don't know, back when I was at school, I think people would more say horse riding isn't a sport just to wind people up and get a reaction. So I feel like nowadays if I'm being sassy, and I probably was a little bit sassy, but sometimes I just say a one-liner and then walk away. And that's what I did. To be fair, I was getting to the stage where I was like, I need to get out of this sauna, I'm getting a bit warm. And this lady also left because she was like, this guy was not listening at all, and then was very rude. So I just said, well, my friend is paralysed from the waist downwards, and you have to use a lot of core muscles just to be able to sit on a horse, let alone ride one. And I just said, and you'll know that as an ex-boxing pro, because if you've ever done the plank, you'll know that uses a lot of core muscles. And I just said, and I can't remember what else I said. It's something like, by the way, she did take home a gold medal. But anyway, and then I just walked out. That was my drop the mic, like little bit of sass. I don't know if I'm normally not that much of a sassy person. I don't know where this came from, but I was like, this guy, he loves listening to his voice too much, which again, the irony is not lost on me, but he just wasn't listening. I was like, this guy just, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, if that was like a first date and you were like trying to get the perception of who this person was, I feel like that's also like, if anybody of you, because I know a lot of people kind of my age that listen to the podcast, if you're dating, I feel like a big red flag is when a guy, number one, does not listen, or when a person doesn't ask you any questions back. They just love talking about themselves. And it's like, okay, you're not the one. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I feel like if I could give you any little shred of advice, I feel like, yeah. Anyway, so there we go. That was my one sassy liner, and walked out. And then after that, I thought that was a very weird conversation, because I feel like all of my podcast stories, they're normally just like random things that have happened when I leave the house. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't leave the house like a lot. Well, and if I do, it's like it's like one extreme to the other. It's either me at home with the horses, in the office editing, recording a podcast, that kind of thing, or I'm out in London somewhere for an event or at a horse show or that kind of thing. And to be fair, I've met quite a few people in the last couple of years at different kind of, I hate saying this, influencer events or that kind of thing. And I've met a lot of different people from lots of different places and backgrounds and that kind of thing. And the majority of the time, in that sort of environment, I don't think I've ever had somebody go, well, horse riding's not a sport. Oh, that's really weird. Like, as an adult, I would say majority of the time, well, actually pretty much every time in the last 2 years, apart from that guy in the sauna, when I've said, oh yeah, like I make videos about horses, or like I do content creation about horses, a lot of people are like, oh, that's so cool. Oh, like that's like, oh, I love animals, or like, oh, I rode a horse once on the beach when I was a kid, or like, oh, like it's just something a little bit different, because most people that I meet kind of that do content creation, it's like lifestyle, beauty, like that kind of stuff. So I'm like this weird kid that's like, horses, and everyone's like, oh, that's like, back when I was at school, if you said horse, they're like, oh, you're the horse girl, weird, that kind of thing. But as an adult, it's a bit of a flex. It's like a cool thing to do, especially as I think it's really sad. I think a lot of women, once, you know, they've joined the workplace, or, you know, once they're an adult, a lot of women, they just either give up or stop doing sports or activities or hobbies. Like, how, I don't know, maybe this is just me, but I don't know, I just know a lot of people that have given up hobbies or sports as they've got older, which I think is really sad. And I know it's a privilege to be able to do sports and hobbies, but anyway, so I think it's because, actually, mini Esme rant here. I was talking to my friend the other day, and she has a puppy that she is planning on doing dog agility with. Bit of fun, good exercise for the dog. I was like, oh, that sounds amazing. Like, I'd love to give that a go. That sounds great. Like, when I get a dog one day, I'd love to do that. And she was like, yeah, like, we were really interested in doing it. And then it was just too competitive. And I feel like that is something that has ruined sport and hobbies for people lately. Like, similar story. So also, yeah, one of the reasons why she decided not to do it is they were like, okay, you have to come every week, you have to come to all these competitions up and down the country every weekend. And some people, they don't have the time for that, you know. People have lives. Like, it's good to have hobbies, but also, you never know, some people might be like, oh, I need to go and take care of my sick grandmother that weekend, or you know, got a business trip that weekend, or, you know, life does life sometimes. Or it's my friend's birthday party, it would be a bit of a bad friend to, you know, miss my best friend's, you know, birthday. So I don't know, there are just things in life that do get in the way, but, you know, you got to prioritize things. And I feel like you either have to be all in 100% or just not bother doing it at all. When I'm sure that dog and my friend, they would have had great fun, you know, going to the dog agility every now and again, or that kind of thing. Same with my other friend. I've got a friend that recently moved back into the local area after finishing uni, and she really enjoyed, while she was at uni and at school and things, doing netball. Great netball player. And she was like, oh, I might join the local netball team. And they were like, well, if you don't come every week for practice, and if you don't come to all these competitions every weekend, then we're going to kick you out of the team. And it's like, I get it. If you want to be competitive and you want to win, and that's like your sole life, it's just netball and that's it, netball and your job, that's it, I kind of get it, because you want to go out and you want to win. But I think being competitive has honestly spoiled so many different things, because my friend, sure, she's a great netball player. She probably would enjoy going, you know, once a week. Maybe she wouldn't be able to make it to every match for whatever reason, but it'd be great fun, great sporting activity. And I feel like there are no entry-level things now. There's not just a netball club for having fun. It's like, you got to go to all these regional competitions. Now, I'm not going to be mean, but this local netball club, I don't think they're going to be making it to the Olympics. You know, they're filled, you know, if you look at Olympic teams, they're often filled with teenagers, because they're the youngest, fittest you're ever going to be. Once you pass 25, which I'm coming up to soon, you know, you're part of the X Factor older people. Like, that's, do you know what I mean? That's what's getting me scared about getting older, is that I'm past my prime. I'm going to be going into, if I want to do the X Factor, not that I do, because I'm not a singer at all, but I'd be going into the over 25 category. That's how, you know, there are going to be people in their 40s and 60s and 50s and everything listening to this, be like, Esme, you're not old, shut up, be quiet, what are you talking about? But you know what I mean? I feel like nowadays, everything's become so competitive, it's just lost the joy. Like with Joey, my horse, I would love to go and do the odd dressage test, the odd show jumping. But then people were like, oh, if you're competing, you're trying to get to the next level, Like, I know I'm never going to go to the Olympics. I know that I'm probably never going to, be doing 1 stars, 2 stars, professional, international competitions. Like, I'd rather live a more well-rounded life, have a little nice horsey time, my social media and job does take up a lot of my life, so I'd have to quit everything to just do horses full time. And I don't have the financials for that, if I'm being completely transparent. But I don't know. I feel like, especially, I remember doing Pony Club as a child. And it was like, you're going to get kicked off the team unless you don't have a good enough horse. You're going to get, kicked off. Yeah, you're not going to be part of it because you're not good enough. You got to buy a better, more expensive horse that my family did not have the funds for. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to not do Pony Club anymore because it just made it not fun. Like, the majority of people, I'm not going to be mean, but the chance of you going to the Olympics is very slim. Very, very slim. And people act like, continuing the mini rant, I saw something online, and it really, I don't know, maybe it grind my gears, but somebody said, there's this trend at the moment online on short format videos. I'm not going to say which ones, but you know which ones. And it's like, oh, this is the whole point. And there's been like a whole thing in the horse world. It's like, this is the whole point, like chilling with your horse in a paddock, grooming them. Like, it's not just about riding, which I think is such a beautiful thing. And I think that is such a lovely trend. And somebody just commented, well, if you don't do it to win, what's the point? And I was like, excuse me? So you're telling me you are spending thousands of pounds, probably tens of thousands, I don't know this person, but if they're being fed, all of this money, all of this time, all of this effort, all of this stress, because you best believe me, when I used to compete, the toilet did not want to see me coming because it was not good. I would get very nervous. Sorry if that's a bit TMI. Anyway, I get a bit nervous sometimes and it's not good. Anyway, all of that, you're going through all of that, just to win. Girl, if you just want to win, do a cheaper sport. For goodness, goodness me. Do it if it's all about winning. I tell you what, go and do a cheaper sport, because if you just do horses to win, then I don't know what you're doing with your life. I like horse riding because I like, forming a bond with the horse and forming a connection and a partnership and working together and improving together and forming that bond and having fun. And if you don't do it for fun, what are you doing it for? Goodness me. Anyway, that really, I was like, what on earth? I was so confused. And she was like, well, her opinion was, why are you spending all this money if it's just for fun? And it's like, what do you mean? It's like saying, why go on holiday if it's just for fun? Why go out for dinner if it's just for fun? Why go to the cinema if it's just... I was like, what? Have you never had joy in your life? What is... I was like, what? Anyway, the comments section of the internet is a funny place. They always say, don't look down. I've lost my train of thought. I'm just in shock. I was just so confused. So anyway, if you're doing horse riding as a sport and you're getting to the stage where I found, as I got older, the least fun I got because it just got so competitive, don't worry. For some reason, I've created a whole career on just being average. So don't worry. It's all about having fun. And also, all of my friends that were going out competing every weekend, super serious, I must win, or my whole life's purpose is going down the drain. No, a lot of them don't ride horses anymore. And I'm like, what? But honestly, I think so much of the joy was just taken out of it that they don't ride horses anymore. I mean, a lot of them did go off to university and then it was like, okay, must get first, must do really well at uni. And that was probably the next thing that they were focusing on. But they just don't ride horses at all. Sold them all up, done, forget about it. And there's me, who was plain average throughout my whole riding career, and I'm still doing it because it's what I enjoy and I find it fun. So there we go. Sorry, that was a little bit of a longer rant than I anticipated. So anyway, back to, is horse riding a sport? Because I found this the most annoying question back when I was at school. And I think I just remember having like one break time and just this couple of people, and they were just like, well, horse riding's not a sport. And we just ended up having like a full on debate. So in my time in learning, in having this debate over the years, here are some fun one-liners that I can give to you about why horse riding is indeed a sport. So first up, we're going to consult the internet, because the internet levelized you. The internet is always correct. What do you mean? Anyway, so if you look up sport in the dictionary, it says sport is an activity involving physical exertion and skill which an individual or team competes against one another for entertainment. And then, so, physical activity. That is the one thing, for some reason, people don't believe horse riding is a sport because it's not enough physical activity. As I said before to the guy in the sauna, if you've ever done the plank, you will know. My goodness, that uses your core muscles. It makes you want to scream inside, because if you hold it for so long, it's like, oh, my abs are on fire. But to some people, they'll just be like, well, you're just lying there. You're not doing anything. You're just lying down. And it's like, that's the whole point. You want to look like you're not moving when actually you are really squeezing your bum cheeks. I'm sorry, but that's basically how you ride a horse. You have a butt of steel. Something I thought was so inspirational. There was I can't remember what it was on because it was like an American TV show, but it was like the American version of Total Wipeout or that. It was that sort of thing. It was like where you do like a big extreme challenge. And there was a professional dressage rider, and she went on it, and she was like, they were like, have you trained for this? And she was like, no, I ride dressage horses all the time. I'm a professional horse rider. I've got abs of steel. And she went and smashed this challenge. It was like the world's toughest challenge. It was that sort of TV show. And I was like, go girl. That was very cool. For all the horse riders out there, she was like, yeah, I haven't trained for it. I just ride horses. That's training enough. To be fair, horse riding, you do train muscles that are like the most useless muscles for any other sport. Like, what other sports do you need to be able to like properly squeeze your legs like that? I can't think of any. Anyway, so also, I feel like these are the same people that say horse riding isn't a sport are probably the same people that say motorsport isn't a sport. And it's like, it literally has the name sport in the title. Like, I'm a big motorsport fan. If you didn't know, I'm a big F1 fan. So, of course, I'm like, yes, of course, motorsport is a sport. But also so is horse riding. So what are you chatting about? Anyway, also, if we look up on the internet, is horse riding a sport? It says, yes, straight away. Internet never lies, of course. I am joking when I say internet never lies. Please do always double check where you get information from, because there are people that lie on the internet. Oh my gosh, I've seen so many lies about myself on the internet. Goodness me. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. Maybe I did do actually it was probably about a year ago actually, did a whole podcast episode about lies or rumours people have spread about me on the internet. So anyway, maybe we need to do another one of those sometime, because people, they love to spread lies. One recently I saw, which was that I went to one of the most expensive schools in the whole of the UK, and I was like, where on earth did you get this from? I mean, for my primary school, I went to my local, state-run government school, and then for secondary school, I went to a grammar school that I had a scholarship for, and it definitely was not the most expensive one. I mean, I have ridden an expensive riding. Maybe this is where they got the information from. I don't know. There's like one video of me on Casper where my pony club hired out an arena hire at a very expensive school at their riding stables, and I rode there like once or twice. But that wasn't the school I went to. Just saying, I did not go to that school. And also, people trying to dox me on the internet, being like, "Oh, Esme went to this school." I'm like, guys, please do not share public information, even if it's false. Like, don't say, "Oh, this person lives here, this person went to this school." That is literally illegal. You cannot post personal information. The big no-no on the internet, especially if it's a child as well. I mean, I'm not a child anymore, but I did used to go to school and I used to be a child. But the big note, like on the long form videos that I make, that you can probably tell what platform that is. I don't like to say what platform it is because the other platforms get jealous, like a ex-boyfriend. Anyway, so I've said that so many times before, but anyway, it is funny. The biggest no-no that you can do on the internet, the quickest way you can take down a video on that platform, is reporting it and saying this information has like private information on that has been shared illegally about a child. Like if somebody says this shares personal information about a child, like that platform, that video is gone. It is gone quicker than you can say, take that video down. Sorry, that was not very quick, but you know what I mean. So, and also, I don't know, some people just act like, I don't know, other people aren't real people in the internet. That's like one of my pet peeves. Like if you're ranking people out of 10, like I'm a human being. I know I'm not perfect. Like we've all made mistakes, but I am a real human being, you know. Anyway, sorry, that was a little rant there for you. But yes, sorry, the internet that never lies. Back to that. It says, yes, horse riding is considered a sport, or rather, a collection of sports, depending on the specific discipline. It involves a complex interplay of physical skill, mental agility, and a partnership with a horse, making it legitimately an athletic activity. So, there we go. And also, another thing that I used to say is, well, my Apple Watch, back when I used to have an Apple Watch, I'm now, as you guys know, a Garmin girly. My Garmin also has horse riding as a activity, but anyway, I was like, that has it as a sporting activity. It doesn't have chess there. Why are you trying to say chess? Okay, sorry to all my chess people. It is a very complex game that I'm not very good at, but it's different categories. Anyway, but also, I would also say it's in the Olympics. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to be in the Olympics for, but at the moment, it's in the Olympics. And there are a lot of sports that aren't even in the Olympics that you would classify as a sport. Actually, I'm really interested because every now and again, they're like the Olympics. What I didn't realise is every now and again in the Olympics, they change what sports are there. Like, I'm pretty sure last year they had rock climbing, which has never been done before. I actually thought that was so cool. I thought that was really fun to watch. So I'm actually quite intrigued now. Does anybody else do this? I love a little, like, I just think of something and I'm like, oh my gosh, how does that work? And I just consult the internet. And this is, every day's a school day. You know what they say? What sports are, I'm really slow at typing, I apologise, are not in the Olympics? There we go. It's popped up quite quickly. There are several popular sports that are not currently part of the Olympic Games, including cricket. I didn't even know cricket's not in the Olympics. What on earth? That, as somebody who's British, because, you know, in the UK, cricket is a big thing. Pretty much every village, even my village, that only had a village shop open in the last 10 years, even my village has a cricket ground. It's just like the thing. Every village has a cricket ground. Cheerleading. I guess, yeah, cheerleading is not a big thing in the UK. I think it's definitely got bigger over the last, like, I don't know any friends, I don't know anybody personally who does cheerleading, but back in the day I thought, oh, it's like dancing, isn't it? I've watched some documentaries on cheerleading. Oh my gosh, they are basically gymnasts. Like, it is so impressive. Anyway, so shout out to all my cheerleaders out there. Oh, I think that I found myself a cheerleader. Darts? I guess, yeah, darts is a big thing in the UK. There's a lot of skill to it. I guess like archery, that's got skill. Snooker. What other ones is there? That's all the internet. They're the top ones that have come up. Because yeah, we had breakdancing in the Olympics last year. That was quite cool. I mean, controversial, but it's different. I mean, I'm up for watching all the different sports, like BMXing. That was quite a cool one to watch. Skateboarding. Is skateboarding in the Olympics? No. Is it? No, it was 1 year, surely. Okay, we're searching this up because I don't want the podcast to have false claims. I like to tell the truth. This is the truth podcast. We'll have to do a little cut here because I'm so slow at typing.
Finding a new job is stressful, but with Indeed, it doesn't have to be. Just fill out your Indeed profile with your skills, experience, and desired salary. The more you fill out, the better your matches will be. And hearing from hiring managers will be 2 times more likely. Relax. That's your Indeed profile sending opportunities your way. Indeed, the world can work better.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay. With experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
I was right. Dad was wrong. It says competitions in the world of skateboarding governed by World Skate have been held at 2 editions of the Summer Olympic Games in 2020 and 2024. There we go. So, yes. So yeah, there are some sports that are in and not in, depending on which bit you're listening to the podcast. So yeah, cricket. I mean, I'm surprised. Cricket is not in the Olympics. But it's definitely, you would say cricket is a sport. So, and horse riding, that's a sport. So, there we go. They are my top tips for, basically, just tell them, have you ever done the plank? Yeah, you're just sitting still. There we go. Horse riding is a sport. Looks like you're just sitting still. But that is the whole point of it. Anyway, on that note, I think I have chatted for way too long, especially as I complained at the beginning of today's podcast episode about a guy chatting for too long and enjoying the sound of his own voice. So anyway, yes, today's podcast episode has been a little bit all over the place. It's been a bit ranty. I apologise. I didn't mean to go on like a full rant there, but maybe you let me know if you in the comments if you like a little Esme rant every now and again, because I was just absolutely so confused. Anyway, let me know in the comments, do you think horse riding is a sport? And also, what are your top tips for debating? If somebody says horse riding isn't a sport, what are your go-to lines? Because I feel like saying the plank is quite a good one, saying it's the Olympics is quite a good one. Anyway, I'm going to finish off today's podcast episode there. Just want to say a huge thank you again to Red Post for sponsoring. If you need any competition gear, because again, horse riding, competition, sport, get it from Red Post, and I will see you all in the next episode. Thank you for listening. Bye.